23 years old.
Why did you pick up a knife?
I was attacked in a street fight. I was attacked by 25 gangsters in a street fight and didn't know how to use weapons at that time. I started in traditional karate, which doesn't use weapons, and from 6 to 19, I do traditional karate. But what happened is, when I graduated from university, I went to celebrate for a bonfire on the beach.
Mm-hmm.
Wrong place at the wrong time. So 25 gangsters looking for someone mistake me and my friend for the someone, and we get into a big fight. And luckily God saves me because the people they're looking for happen to walk by at the same time. So then they looked at them and forget about us. And then after that time, I was obsessed how to protect myself to another higher level in this crazy situation. Not like in the gym or in the ring, but chaos.
Mm-hmm.
Chaos. Just where people want to kill you. They don't care. They fight in formation. So, not one-on-one, many people against one. So this is what started my obsession with wanting to learn Kali and the edge weapons, and really started my career.
How long have you been teaching knife fighting?
I have been teaching knife fighting for over 10 years, and professionally on my own for the last 8 years. But for 10 years, maybe 12 years I've been teaching. But last 8 years I really developed the system further. And in the last 8 years I've worked with over 150 law enforcement agencies, Secret Service, Special Forces, military, army, all over the world, teaching them the knife.
Could you mind to share with us 5 certain steps how you start to teach knife fighting?
Mm-hmm. Okay, absolutely. I think the first thing is footwork. You have to learn to footwork. You have to learn to move. The second thing is distance. The footwork, making a move, allows you to maintain distance.
Mm-hmm.
The next thing is angle, how to cut the angle so that you are going to zero pressure. It means when the knife comes, you don't fight the knife, because if you fight the knife, then you get cut. So we go to zero pressure. Then after that, we work sensitivity. So sensitivity is feeling. So you're not relying on sight because the eyes are too slow to see it. And then finally, we do real pressure sparring. Full sparring, you put gear on, put a knife, take a metal knife and a protective glove, and you really spar. And then you spar against 5, 6, 7, 8 people. So multiple opponents. And then you also spar with myself protecting someone. So maybe my wife or my son is with me. So I have to spar while protecting the people that I'm with. So these would be the first 5 steps.
Could you mind to share with us about your own system that you are teaching?
The system that I'm teaching comes from a few different Kali masters. So it comes from Ben Largusa, from Flora Villabro system, Illustrissimo system, comes from Johnny Lacoste, comes from Angel Cabales, and comes from Flora Villabro. So these are the people that taught Guru Dan Inosanto, who's one of my teachers, who taught Paul, and then he taught Paul Bunak, who's one of my teachers, and I learned from them. And from there, I take the techniques that they have taught me from the many different systems and make it very streamlined, very the techniques that overlap across. I take them, the universal principles, and teach those. So it's easier and faster to learn.
Could you mind to share with us about these universal principles that you mentioned?
Yes, like I said, it's not about techniques, because when we start to talk about techniques, one technique has another counter, and that technique has another counter. But when we deal with principle and concept, line of attack. So line of attack, for example, if this is the line of attack, whether I do this, or this, all come from the same place. So then I need one move to take care of all the line of attack. Instead of maybe a knife comes, maybe a punch comes, maybe a stick comes, and I do one move or another move. So I think that the most important thing is to equate the technique to the line of attack and not the attack. And then the second thing is timing. Timing is the universal principle. amongst everything. We need footwork, timing, angle, and distance. This is the most important things. But timing and sensitivity, because the timing lets you go in and out, and the sensitivity allows you to feel. So if you're developing attributes, is what I say, instead of techniques. Attributes, things like speed, sensitivity, timing, footwork, angle. These things are universal. So if you create those, you will be able to move naturally, instead of going in your head and trying to think, what should I do? When the knife moves, it moves too fast. No time to think.
Do you have some certain tactics and strategy in your system?
Yes, absolutely. It's based in tactics and strategy. The number one tactic with knife is called defang the snake. That means the snake has the teeth, the fangs. It bites you with. If you take the fang away from the snake, it just does that. It can't bite you. So what does that mean? This means when I have a knife in my hand, if I have a knife, I'm holding a knife in my hand, and I cut the hand. If I cut the hand goes, and the knife goes. I can't hold the knife anymore. So when people try to do defenses against the knife or something like that, they're not taking care of the knife. So you must destroy the hand holding the knife. If you do not have a weapon, pick something up. A purse, a stick, your cell phone, a pen, roll up a piece of paper, another knife. Anything you can get in your hand, use it so your hand becomes longer and you can hit their head. It's called defang the snake. So number one, we always try to hit the hand that is holding the knife. Then they cannot hold it. No more knife, no more problem. So another strategy is, the most important strategy is survival. Okay? So regardless of any tactics or techniques, when the knife comes, the heart starts to beat, start to get tense. Right? So you have to be able to go, smile, relax. Most important. If that's not there, doesn't matter what technique, what tactic, doesn't matter, because you're like this. So when the knife is coming and everybody gets like that against you to try to hurt you, you have to go the other way.
Okay. In your opinion, does it important to have psychological preparation for the person that started working with a knife? Before he started working with a knife?
Absolutely. I think that the first lessons have to be psychological preparation, because the mind is the most important weapon we have. The mind allows us to relax or get tense. The mind makes decisions. So if we are not in the right psychological state of mind or relaxed state, ready to receive and flow and be anything we want, like water, like Bruce Lee says, be like water and adapt. But we can only be like water and adapt to the situation and the pressure if our mind is in the right state. Before, during the fight, and then after the fight.
What actually pushed you to start teaching knife fighting?
I don't want other people to ever be in a position of fear. Most important. Because you learn knife, you learn to deal with fear. You learn to deal with fear not only of someone else attacking you, but how to learn all fears in your life. If you can not be afraid when somebody's attacking you with a knife, you're not going to be afraid of anything in life. So I think it's a very important tool. I work with executives, with professional athletes, and what I do with them is I teach the knife, because the knife makes them get, and it allows us to train the ability to go and so this is the most important thing. And in life, if somebody yells at you, argues with you, tells you no, whatever it is, it's again. Maybe you're in a job interview. Again, fear. Maybe you're afraid to tell somebody how you feel. Again, it's fear. Fear. No need for fear, because fear is the opposite of life. Too short of time to live.
For today we have some situation when some person he is learning knife fighting in the gym for 3-5 years, and he thinks that he is actually good in it. But when he faced the real situation on the street, he doesn't know what to do. He has a stupor, he's freezing, or he just run away. So how do you think? Why does it happen?
We say, train the way you fight, fight the way you train. Most important thing. Because you're training, if you're training in the gym, and you're not creating the pressure situation in the heart, because you feel safe in the gym, you feel safe. Teacher's teaching you, no real harm. But in your training, you have to be able to create the pressure to recreate the tense situation on the street. So if you're not recreating that, it's a disconnect. It's an idea. It's like a scientist goes and in the lab makes a pill, but doesn't know if the pill is going to work on the patient. So what we do is we train in the street with the clothes on, with actual talking, like, hey, fuck you, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to fuck you up. You have to talk like, because this is the person's talking. So you have to create the environment from verbals, from tension, from many people, from creating the heart to go, ah, and then forcing yourself to relax and execute your skill. So if you're just in the gym, it gets difficult. It's not to say that they can't do it, but it's difficult to bridge the gap.
How do you think? What's the reasons push the person to start working with a knife?
One of two. Their job. Some people require it for the job. They're in dangerous places. People who work in nightclubs, people who bouncers, police, military. For your job, protection, bodyguards, you need to learn knife for the job. And then the other thing why people learn knife, another reason people learn knife is because they're scared. So they don't want to be scared anymore. And another reason some other people learn knife because they're messed up in their head and they want to kill people. Those are the three types of people.
Do you have some certain advantages in your systems that distinguish your systems from others?
I think that all systems are good, and it depends on the person doing the system, number one. And the second thing is I focus on being in the moment, in the feeling, in the action without thought. So we prepare the mind and the body together. And then finally the spirit. Because if you're talking about knife fighting and there's no spirit involved, I mean, you're going to kill that guy or that guy's going to kill you. So if you don't have a spirit, a higher power, a belief in something else to take you through, could be difficult to fight somebody who does. So I think that's important. In Kali, they say the triangle. Yeah? The triangle in Kali. This here is the higher power. God, whatever you want to call it. That knows what's going to happen up here. Over here is me. Over here is the opponent. Yeah? We don't know what's going to happen. So you fight with all your heart because only God knows. So you just go.
Do you have any certain criteria how you make separation of which people you will teach or which people you will not?
100%. 100%. I teach this mostly only to law enforcement, military, and to women. I teach women all my knife fighting secrets because my wife is a knife fighting expert. To women, I teach them everything because they need to bridge the gap against a stronger man. So to most women and most military, this is what I give them. And then the other people that come to me, they have to prove, they have to show me that they're a good person. They're a humble, honorable spirit. They're people here to protect and not people here to kill. Because I've had people come to me that they're not the type of people that I would teach it to because I know they're going to use it for the wrong reasons. So this, as a teacher, you have to get good at knowing people, reading people, feeling their energy, spending time with them, right? And then as they prove themselves, you start to teach them more, That's how I do it.
Do you have any certain criteria according to which you can understand who is the real master and who is not?
Anybody that tells you don't do this, don't do that. Anybody that tells you this is not good, this is bad. Don't listen to them. What I mean is, you want somebody that can explain to you based on a universal principle, instead of telling you this style is bad, this style is bad. They give their own opinion, their own prejudice, and right off the bat they're telling you, hey, this is how it should be done, this is how it must be done, all these other ways are no good. Somebody who is like that is closed in their mind, so they may understand a certain part, but they may miss everything. So I think that it's important that you are explained by your master why, and it's okay to ask why. So some masters and teachers don't allow you to ask questions, and they say, oh, don't ask questions, and you're like, what do you mean don't ask questions? How am I going to learn? So it's important that the teacher can show you why, tell you, explain to you why, and then they have to do it. They better be able to do it. So when you attack them, they better be able to do it. So if they can only tell you why and can't do it, no good. If they tell you this is good, this is bad, don't do this, don't do that, too many rules, not so good again. Then you put in a box again. Then you have one system here, one system here, one system here, one system here. But the idea is there's no one system here and here. We're one human. We have 2 hands, 2 feet, one human. Universal ways of moving. So sometimes people close themselves off because of their style or their own prejudices, their own experiences, and oftentimes that limits the growth of their students.
How do you think, why today we have such a situation when we have so many teachers in the world that really want to teach knife fighting?
I think when people make it a business, they make it a competition.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Yeah.
This is martial art. It's not, I do for business, but money is not why I do it. So oftentimes I think what ends up happening is because teachers are doing for business, they are competing, and so they say, I am better, and this person is not good, or this style is better, and this style is no good, because they want to make money. And I think that's the problem. But not all teachers are like that. The good ones want to come together, share knowledge, grow the art, help people, and there are people like this too. But I think both sides are there, and this side wants to fight with this side. So instead of fighting, I say, hey man, just come together. If you are secure in yourself and your style and what you teach, you don't need to put down anybody else. Very simple.
How do you think, does the knife have some future in 21st century?
Yeah, I think it's very important because the world we live in today is a different world. And a lot of people in North America don't know what it's like to live in Eastern Europe or in Africa or in India or in Brazil, where the world is different. It functions differently. The need to defend yourself is much higher. There's more dangerous people, more dangerous people. Mm-hmm. And now even in North America, more dangerous people. Danger is on the rise, unfortunately. In the world, danger is on the rise. So I think that learning a simple skill like the knife is important because this protects you, protects your family. And like I said, you can use it beyond just protection. If you use it to develop yourself, overcome fear, and like you mentioned earlier, I mean, there's no such thing as being a master in a knife. It doesn't exist. Because in a knife fight, if somebody says they're a master of knife, they've never been stabbed. I've been stabbed a few times. There's no such thing as mastering a knife. Even somebody who doesn't know how to use a knife, he goes boom, breaks a bottle, and he has it start swinging crazy, and they don't care. What about a person who doesn't care about life and death? Have you ever fought somebody like that? That's insane. This is a different idea, and it exists. So anybody who says they're a master and stops learning is like a river. You put a dam in the river, the water stops. Once the water stops, what's going to happen? It builds up, goes over, or blows the dam. And that's what's going to happen. So even against somebody who doesn't know how to use a knife at all, I only give myself a 10% chance against somebody who knows nothing on the street because they're crazy. This is different. So this is a different preparation.
What is a knife for you?
It's a tool for self-discovery. It is a method for me to understand myself. This is what the knife means to me. Teach me about myself. Teach me my strengths, my weaknesses. Teach me to deal with my fears. Teach me to cut through all barriers in life. Teach me to be smooth and soft and flow. And teach me to be ruthless when I have to protect my family.
I know that you work with a knife, with sticks and bare hands. Can you share with me, do you have some differences in teaching of these different kinds of work?
There are a few differences, nuanced differences, but the idea is that what you learn with the knife, you do the same thing with the stick, you do the same thing with the empty hands. This is the beauty of the technology. We call it transfer technology. So what I learned to move with the knife, I learned to move the same way with the empty hands, I learned to move the same way with the stick. So learn one weapon, learn all the weapons. That's what I think. It saves time.
What would you recommend to the people that just decided to start working with a knife?
I think find a good instructor, find somebody that you trust, somebody you like, that you know, like, and trust. You need to know them, who they are, where they've come from, what have they taught, what is the lineage. Then you gotta like them. It means you have to have a relationship. You have to like your teacher. And then you have to trust them in what they're teaching you. I think this is the most important thing. If you don't know, don't like, and don't trust your teacher, you're wasting time.
Do you have a logical model in your system?
Yes. I teach people based on a progressive training method where we bring them from one progression to another progression to another progression to another progression. One builds on the other, from the technique, the physical, then also mental, dealing with the pressure, and spiritual, making sure you can be still. It's important because to learn how to be relaxed in stress is a step by step by step skill, scientific skill, logically put together. You can't go from this point to this point like that. You have to go and then eventually you come here. So yes, I have a very logical, broken down, step-by-step system. But the system, step-by-step, is designed to teach you to feel instead of teach you to think.
Could you mind to share with us what is the most important thing in your system?
Mastery of the present moment and your breath is the most important thing. Because if you lose track of the moment in time, if you are in the past thinking about what you should have done, if you are in the future thinking about what's going to happen, you're not right here in the moment when it's happening. So this is the most important thing. And what keeps us in the moment is making sure we stay connected to the breath. Most important thing. Because in tense situations, we hold our breath. When we hold our breath, the body becomes tense. The body becomes tense, you slow down. Your brain slows down. Everything slows down. So even if you are trained the best, been training for 10, 15 years, it doesn't even matter because you're going to be stiff. You're not going to be able to flow through it. So the most important thing to me is the present moment and the breath. Can you be in charge of the present moment and the breath? Because that means I'm in control of myself. I don't have control over you. You're my opponent. I don't have control of the environment, everything around me. The only thing I have control over is myself. So in these crazy situations, we tend to try to control the environment, defeat the opponent. No. Control yourself so you can survive. Not to win, People try to win. There's no winning in a knife fight. There's just survival. And you have to control yourself. I think that's the most important.
In the beginning of our interview, you said that you have some certain exercise when one person against 5-8 people. Does it important how many people do you use against this person?
When you look at groups, people go in groups of 1, 2, 4, or 8.
Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes, this is how people group together, when they're interacting. So this is natural scenario of the number of people that can be together at one time. So I think it's important to learn how to deal with this many people, because sometimes what happens is we get tunnel vision and we want to fight the person in front of us, but then the guy comes from behind and stabs you because you're just focusing on the person in front of you. So it also, from training, it makes your senses way higher. To fight 2, 3, 4, 8 people, your senses are totally different than when you come to one person. Things look slower. So from a training method, it's really good because you're handicapped. You handicap yourself against more people. Then against one person, it's easier. And then also there's a possibility that you will engage against multiple people if you unfortunately are in a knife situation.
Could you mind to share with us something important about your system that we didn't ask you?
I think you asked me a lot of good questions already. I think most important is the training, the uniqueness in the training method. We have different kind of training drills. Yeah. So the first is one side feeds, means one partner just attacks. Yeah, one person attacks, you move. Yeah, move, get out of the way. Another one is counter for counter, means I attack, you defend, I attack you back. I attack, you defend, I attack you back. You attack me, I defend, you attack again. Do you see? Attack and defend, attack and defend. And then finally, there's sparring. Okay, so sparring is boom, where we're both trying to attack and not, it's a live movement. And then finally, the thing that I do is very unique, is I do blindfold training. We blindfold, and so you cannot see, and then you have to feel. If you take the senses from the eyes away, because how do we look at everything in the world is from the eyes. Yeah, we rely on the eyes. But the eyes are slow compared to the knife. So if you close the eyes, when you're touching already, so you feel, you close the eyes, the power that you used to see is now put into the power to feel. And then you get to feel and see with your body and not your eyes. I want my hand to think on its own without going to my eyes or to my mind to make a decision. So this is the idea.